Jarvis Lansky. How y'all doing today?
Good morning.
What's up, buddy?
Well, I went into New York yesterday for the second time in a couple days. Just took my son, so I'm going to pretend that I'm not over 50 and I'm sore from walking, which is pretty crazy. Yeah,
How was New York?
it
What did
was
you guys
pretty good.
do?
Man. I haven't done it in like 15 years, so it's not as like it once was. It doesn't seem to be like jam packed with people and stores bustling trying to push their wares. It seems like even New York City is being affected by the change of the world with things online, Amazon bikes and carts moving around, dropping their stuffs off. It's pretty amazing.
That's crazy.
But yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. Well, you have a good weekend?
Did absolutely. Yeah. We went, we had a regional event for UASA in New York City. And so about 8 or 10 of us got there and hung out, and it's great. We're going to try to do some in, Texas, maybe Miami, California, LA area, something like that. We're going to try to get some face-to-face contact, which is really great.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Morning, Kelly. You finished?
How about you?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad weekend. It was kind of a whirlwind. I think we went to the pumpkin farm on Saturday. Yeah, pumpkin farm on Saturday. Had to think about that. Morning, Adam. I actually took a picture with my wife. We don't always remember to take pictures together. She's like, "Hey, we should take a picture." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we probably should." I don't remember last time we have a picture together.
Well, it is. That's pretty tricky because you are the guy with the most equipment, so you would just think that you would do that would be running in your head, where the average husband is warned and threatened by their wife when they're not coming along to take pictures. Don't forget Sarah Brown of UASA. Don't forget to take pictures, guys, me and David Olivia of the event, right? And meanwhile, she still didn't trust us because then she had one of the ladies that was attending to make sure she took some. So she knows it's just not against us. But I'll tell you, looking at memories and pictures from Facebook and Google popping up, history photos, got to do it, man. It's so awesome to see, right? The progression.
It is. It's important to do. And I think it's easier to forget to take pictures when you're in a position like mine, or take videos when you're in a position like mine, because you do it all the time.
Yep.
And then when you're off, you're just like, I'm off. I'm relaxing. And, your brain turns to mush and you forget to do it. So
the three regrets in life: that I didn't learn piano because I got long fingers, right? And who doesn't want to know how to play piano when there's a group of people around and you just start playing, right? You're the coolest dude in the room, right? Second one is getting married. Our pastor at the time, he said, make a journal. Just make a diary. Don't make it a lot of work. Just write your thoughts down, events that happen. You'll love it later. Didn't do it very long. And then another friend, when we just started having kids, said, pictures, but more video. So I have a bunch of video, but like to hear your little one talking at age 3 with a lisp or that high pitched voice. And now my son is like, "Hey, Dad," and it's like, wow. So if you got little ones, dude, video up and get some cloud storage.
my daughter wanted to do the dad jokes again. So we did.
Yes,
We did. With just 3 little jokes in the reels or whatever. So she keeps me accountable on that. She's like, "Daddy, I want to do the dad jokes again. I'm ready." And I'm like, "All right, baby girl, let's sit and record some dad jokes."
I love it. Yeah. You'll be able to use it against her when she's older and embarrassed by how cute she was then.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Dad made me do these videos. No, baby girl, you asked to do that.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well,
what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, we have an interesting topic. I titled it, "You're Not That Important."
Thanks for keeping us in check, Zach.
Listen, I'm keeping myself in check, right? Like
that's right.
Some of this is coming up on either side of this reality, right? of leading when you're not in charge, as well as fostering communication and fostering these good things within a team. What does that look like? And how do you accomplish that? So, morning, Tim. So I've run up into it on both sides of it, right? Like if because one of the things we're going to talk about today is like how do you foster communication within a team, and myself, not intentionally, has done it where I've siloed communication, and so like people are not freely communicating what needs to be done back and forth within their job description. The reality is, if you're siloing communication, they're just talking behind your back, and it's not productive. So just realize that. But if you're making it so hard for people to communicate within their jobs, back and forth, and have a little bit of freedom, have a little free reign and flexibility to adapt and overcome, you're doing it wrong. It's one of the few times I'm going to tell you, you are doing it wrong. And again, this is from experience. I've done this, and some of us have done it just completely unintentionally. Like it's not been our intention. We're just used to it, right? I'm the only one who can do this. No one else can do it like me. And as soon as you fall into that trap, it is a big slide down from there.
Big time.
And sometimes it comes in when you're not in charge. So how do you lead well when you're not in charge? And Doug and I are actually both in this position right now. I'm helping my buddy kind of turn his company around. So I'm not actually the one in charge, but I'm leading some of the change within his company. And Doug has been successfully leading as service manager Action Appliance. And so you got two guys up here that have kind of been around the block in this, so that's why
literally,
I
right?
to you. Yeah,
make mistakes and sit there in the corner of the room and go, "What the heck just happened there? What did I do wrong? What do I got to do differently?" Yeah.
Yep. And in your mistakes, you can see where other people make mistakes, and how do you approach them with that love and grace and help them kind of pivot from, I tend to be kind of harsh when I'm talking to you guys, but that's just because I'm trying to like shake you awake. I can't be there and have these actual conversations with you, so I got to kind of shock jock you. But the reality is, like, how do you have these conversations with love and grace when you do run into someone that's making these mistakes, and how do you help them kind of pivot out of that? Or are they going to be able to pivot out of that? Because there does come a point where some people have just gone too far and it's time for them to go. There's just no way around that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a varied topic, but it's all tied into, some humility and fostering communications within a team. So
I was chatting with EJ yesterday, and I was like, EJ, I don't know what it is, but Zach and I, we are wired for mindset. We are wired for sort of strategy and big picture. And then when I see the rest of you guys go on and you talk about the best tool bag and I'm like, why don't I get excited about those things? Like I know about it, but I don't know that I could lead that conversation. It's not so anyway, this is what you're going to get on Tuesday mornings. It's mindset.
And the reality is I've led that conversation, right? Like I am one of the biggest tool geeks out there, but fun frozen face. Oh man, I didn't get a screenshot.
Just hate to think that people don't know. I do know how to repair appliances. It's been a while, but I've not completely lost touch out there, so. But,
he doesn't use needle nose pliers anymore.
All right, let me open us in prayer. Good morning, God. As we talk today, the only way we can successfully lead others by helping them feel empowered and to lead themselves, to take charge of our customers, to take charge of a relationship, to take charge of an issue or a situation, is to to have that confidence. And so we just pray, Lord, for those who know you, that the Spirit fill us and remind us of the freedom that we have in Christ, the freedom to do the best we can. And if we do it in love, whatever the outcome is, love wins, and we can apologize and we can course correct. But Lord, help us when we get stuck in the mud, when we start doubting ourselves as leaders. Help us remember that we are the captain of a team, and we're there to inspire movement and action in our team. So give us the lens, Lord, to love and to lead and to inspire and to motivate and to encourage others to be a part of a team and know you have a role and that you have a choices to make for the team to win, to succeed. That is exciting, Lord. So we just pray for our people that work for us. We pray for our customers that there is a victory in this day, that when we take care of them, that they see the goodness in you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, Doug. I love that. How do we empower people? Man,
yeah,
that's the reality of it, is empowering people to, and this was a conversation that I had with my buddy Matt last night, actually. Like, one of the issues that we're running into is everything's locked down so much because someone might make a mistake. And I went, who cares? And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, if you give them the power to make the mistake, but you have some process in place, you have your SOPs in place, you have your checklist, whatever in place, guess what's going to be less likely to happen? Them making a mistake. And if they do, guess who's going to catch it? They are, before it's an issue. Right now, the way you have it, by the time the mistake gets caught, and it's not his fault that it's this way, other than he allowed it to happen. So I guess it is his fault. But I can't say that to him. I can't say that to him because you have to. Again, it's.
Hey, big picture, Zach. One day when you could get him to understand that it will always be his fault, it will put him in the right place, the right frame of mind to be encouraged.
Yeah, and he heard it. Like, but you can't approach a conversation. This is, again, speaking from myself. Like, when people are coming to me, like, how do you approach that with some grace and humility? So, but when they make a mistake, by the time the mistake is caught, it's a huge freaking deal. Instead of allowing them, empowering them early on to fix it, they can't. And then it gets to a point where it's just like, holy crap, this is an avalanche instead of it was a snowball fight, right? Yeah. So, I love that. I love that you share that.
When I look backwards at Action, 10 years or so, there have been times where we had CSR teams that had been there all long enough that they've asked the questions and they were good enough to remember how to solve the problem from that question. We just didn't write it down, right? That's what we always say all the time. Process, procedures, get their stuff written down. That really does empower them. So there have been times where we had great CSRs, and we had this thing called the hot board. Although I changed it last year to play on words, the take action board, right? And that's just an app that keeps track of. He talks to the appliance and here.
Let's read that one out loud. Doug has been around so long, he talks to the appliance, and the fear of his voice alone makes the appliance work. It's actually in the programming by the manufacturers.
Can you imagine? If that's the case, Saul, I want a hammer like Thor. I want to be able to make sure that when I do it, people know that supernaturalness has happened.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I've noticed an uptick in this year of customer service people and technicians not being able to solve the problem themselves. Right away, I realized they should know better. No, they shouldn't know better because that's not written down anywhere. So they have to come to us. And now there's this bad habit of a customer being stuck and waiting. So here's my latest idea that didn't work, but we're going to try it again. Last week's office meeting, I wasn't in it. I told my office manager, go and brainstorm. Ask all them, what do you get stuck on? Where do you find that you don't have answers? And don't fix it in the meeting. Just write them down. And then you, me, the service manager, the parts manager, we will come up with the best answers. And then we'll put that together like a cheat sheet and we'll hand it to them. And then we'll have another meeting and we'll talk about, we want you to solve those problems right away with the customer. We want to empower you. Well, I was in a different meeting when we were done. It didn't happen. She suggested that they email those to her. So, you know what this week's meeting is going to be? I'm going to try it all over again. Have a brainstorm session. Don't talk about what you're doing right. Don't talk about what you're doing wrong. No, just brainstorm. This is a brainstorm meeting, and I'm hoping it's a collaboration. I'm hoping they see that we want their input, and that and I'll let you know next week how it goes.
You know the best way to do that? Just ask some questions. Just keep asking questions and another question and another question and another
until
question.
It starts rolling out of them, right?
Yeah. I'm willing to bet that she did not ask enough questions. Actually, I know for a fact that she didn't ask enough questions because if she did, it would have turned into a brainstorm.
That's exactly what happened. She said, well, it was kind of quiet and I got a little nervous. And so, and then they just moved on in the meeting. But we do that with customers, right? Hey, you're looking at the dryer and you're wrapping it up and you go, hey, is there anything else I can look at? No, I'm good. All right, cool. Refrigerator's doing good. Microwave. Oh, yeah, the microwave. And all of a sudden, there's another $150 repair. And who's more excited? Well, I mean, the tech should be just made an extra $40. The customer is super amped that they just got an appliance looked at for free while we were in the house. One more problem. And you would be surprised to keep going at it. All right, anything else? And then we all laugh. Are you dishwasher? Oh, the lower rack. It can keep going. You got to keep asking, Zach. You are pretty wise with the grays. You're very wise.
Well, so I mean, you just hit on the main key to communication. Be curious. Ask questions. The more questions you ask, the better conversations that you're going to have. And then you hit the second piece of that. The more you practice it, guess what? The easier it gets. Right? Yeah. Because you just had that conversation, and it took me like 5 years to get to the point where I could have that conversation in just a natural way. Like, that was it just rolled off of your tongue so smooth. You're not even in front of a customer. You probably haven't been in front of a customer in a truck in years, right? And but it flows because you've had such practice doing it. So ask more questions. And just keep practicing. The more you do it, the better off you're going to get. So that's one of the keys to communication. The verses for today. Philippians 2:3. Don't do anything from selfish ambition or cheap desire to boast, but be humble towards one another, always considering others better than yourself. Leading when you're not in charge, not siloing communication. It all comes to this. Don't do these things to boast. Don't do these things to elevate yourself above others. Just be there and be humble. Consider others more important. How can you help the team be better? And James 4:6. But he gives more grace. Therefore it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Humility.
Yeah, it's the way it works. I always what motivates me is to lose a potential great employee or to squash their spirit because I didn't set them up for success. You know what I mean? If they're discouraged, if they're limited in their ability, if they don't see the vision, it's my fault. And wouldn't it be tragic to lose a rock star, some future Hall of Famer in the appliance industry, and you were at that stage in your business where you weren't lifting them up and encouraging them, setting them up for success.
I mean, so how many of us have done our job so long that like we're just like an expert in it, which is great, right? Like that's a good thing. But sometimes it takes an outside perspective, right? So I went on a measure with my buddy last night. I spent the day with the two guys in the office, just brainstorming with them.
This is the flooring company.
The flooring company. So I'm asking them questions. I'm what's going well, what's not going well, and just like processing through that. But then I met him, my buddy Matt, on a job at the end of the day, just to kind of measure out. It was a job that got messed up by the sales guy that I came in to kind of replace because he had to fire him. And so we're out on this job and we walk out afterwards. She goes, dude, I could learn how to put in these quotes, but like why I shouldn't be doing that. I have a team for that. And I'm like, exactly. He goes, you did that. He goes, you did 2 parts of the quote in like 15 minutes in the house. He goes, that'd take me like 3 hours to do that. I'm like, but you shouldn't be doing it. Right? Like, so, and the point of that was like, that could have gone either way. He realized the value in having people that were better trained at doing that than he was. Yeah. He realized that like his position in this is to equip and empower people to be able to do that job faster, easier. He doesn't have to be the expert in that. That's not his role. And so what does that look like within our own companies, right? How many of these things are we just holding on to because, well, I know how to do it best. I've been doing it the longest. Where if we just let go, you might see someone doing it better. Hey, that's a really good job. Do you want to train these other guys on how to do that? Because I'm not kidding. Like 15 minutes after we separated, my phone's ringing. And he goes, dude, what about if you went with these 2 guys and trained them how to do these measures? He goes, you've been with me enough. Like, you know exactly what I'm looking for. He goes, you could train them how to do that. Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so how often in our own businesses does our pride blind us to these areas? Because I know I was guilty of it in my own business. Like 1,000% guilty of it in my own business. It's a trap, right? Like it's a trap.
Do you realize the depth of this though? I'm going to assume, because I haven't talked with your friend, but going through we're all in it as leaders. The depth of this is, wow, I have somebody that can train other people, which makes them faster, which makes them more efficient, which makes them more money, makes me more money, what could we become? Right? That's one track. But how about this part where he sees you do it and all of a sudden, and you say, I'll help train. All of a sudden the weight just lifts off of him because his eyes were open to another way than his way. Because that's what we do as leaders. We get in our zone and we get overwhelmed thinking about all the things we're responsible for. But I mean, I can only imagine what he felt like when your gift and talent was presented here. And then you said yes to it, right? And if you were, up and coming and looking to build a career in flooring and you got this knack, oh my gosh, that guy, he's floating because he's being lifted up and praised for and thinking himself, I've got great value here. Who knows what I could become in this company or in this industry? I'm being valued. So weight lifting of burden and then being risen up in just being praised for your talents. That's pretty cool. That's a great day for an owner,
I love, yeah. I mean, it's just, it's amazing to see. And 45 minutes after that second phone call, there was another phone call that goes like, I haven't been this positive about my company in a long time. And the reality is I'm taking the stuff that we teach in Service Alliance and I'm just applying it to his business because I'm an outsider looking in. I'm able to come in as an outsider and go, well, why are you doing that? Like, just tell me about that. What led to that? What caused these decisions to be made? Okay, what if we tried this? Like, what if we just made this small minor thing? Because you're telling me that it's not working. And notice that I'm not saying it's not working, you need to change this. I'm asking the questions and I'm inviting them to make a change, because that also shuts down that throws that wall of pride up and shuts us down almost instantaneously, right?
Right.
So asking the questions like, what if
and
we
I've
made
done
these
that.
little tweaks? Good.
I've done that where I was the bull in a china shop as Jay's best tech, and then he hires a general manager who is a type A, wants everything under her control, and man, my employee file, it just kept getting fatter and fatter because like I would take 2 extra calls that day per her request, but then she wanted me to come into the office and drop a deposit of a bank at 5 p.m. on a Friday. So, I'm in my narrow lane and I'm thinking, I'm going to take these calls, make more money. I don't care about the banking thing. And so I wasn't communicating well with her, but she actually dictates that whole conversation. And she was very much do what I say or else. So I'm sitting there going, I'm going to take care of 2 more customers. I'm going to skip the bank. All of a sudden, write me up, print, went in the file, and the file just kept growing. Very unhealthy place to work. But don't we all get blessed by it? Like I was able to experience that as a technician, then going, I would do that differently. Always analyzing, always wondering what could I have done differently than that person. And I'm not judging her. She was she's nice. I'm still friends with her, but she was very much running it under her thumb. And that is exhausting and limiting the ability of bringing in all the talent that your team
law
has.
Of the lid. I mean, that's law of the lid right there. Like, it's just slamming into that. So, but tell me about that. Like, tell me about, we've shared my experience, but how did that experience shape the way that you're leading the team now?
Yeah, I remember meetings would be very, heads down. Everybody's there to, okay, it's usually about an hour, Anyone have any questions? If we had questions, it was because we were frustrated. It wasn't brainstorming questions. It wasn't, hey, what I'm noticing out there lately is customers are saying this more. There was none of that brainstorming happening. Now, let me be really transparent. Currently, I'm still trying to get my technicians to share their insights. So I know how not to do it from the way she did it. The way I'm doing it, I'm getting minimal feedback, right? But I will pursue that hard. Literally, I have 16 sets of eyes and ears, and they're in people's homes. They know what's going on out there. And if I can create an environment where they want to share. So currently we do it online through Zoom, and I know that's not working as well as it could. It works a little bit, but I'm gonna keep striving for it. And one day when I see us, really start to kind of get the momentum going, I'll share with you how it works. And I'd love for anybody's advice out there. How do you do it? What do you
think the ratio of questions to you talking is?
I'll tell you that I ran tech meetings on WebEx before the pandemic for 10 years. I would be conscious and aware that all I'm doing is in my meeting telling them what they did wrong or what's been going wrong and how to fix it. Then I would say, does anyone have any questions? Does anybody out there, see any challenging appliances? And I was not getting that interaction. I even tried starting the meeting with, so what's going on out there? And then just quiet silence. So I'm not sure that electronically it can be done. Although I see it get done. I see it get done in laundry rooms. It's a little bit harder than it needs to be. I see it happen. I even see it happen here in this chat thread where people are it's a one-way conversation that they can only type in and we can talk back, but I see it. So I don't know, so again, just being transparent, just so you don't think that Action Appliance is this big, huge brain trust and we're firing on all cylinders. My old manager, Leslie, I know that I learned from her mistakes and I'm still working mine out,
You know the fun part? This is law 3. This is law of process. Leadership doesn't happen in a day.
That's right. Yes. Thank you for chapter 3, because it was starting to kind of penetrate my soul, and you'll probably have to update all the listeners as you're kind of talking about a book. But I was starting to just say, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe this isn't my cup of tea. Maybe I'll apply at FedEx and jump behind a conveyor belt and just do my own little thing. You know, those are my weak moments. But you got to keep processing. You got to keep going. You got to keep going, right, Zach?
So we're doing 21 irrefutable laws of leadership.
Yeah. Quote chapter 3, verse 6. Go ahead. Right.
All right. I wasn't ready for that, but
I know you can really show off.
The law of process, right? So champions don't become champions in the ring. They merely become recognized there, right? So that's another fancy way of saying, like, it's in practice. It's on the practice field is where champions become champions. You don't become a champion on Sunday Night Football. You become a champion Monday through Saturday grinding, right? You become a champion in the off season when you're lifting those weights and you're running the miles and you're doing those things, right? Leaders are learners. Doug is embracing this part of the process, though his brain is fried at the moment. We all have those moments, like, especially as you begin to flex into it. If you're not used to it, it's like building muscle, right? You start to flex that muscle, and eventually you're like, holy crap, I'm sore. Like, I can't lift another weight. And you rest it for a day or two, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm lifting more weight now, right?
Yes.
Consistency compounds. We talked about that in the pre-roll. What does it look like to be a consistent leader? Even if you're not in charge, right? If you're in Doug's position where you're service manager, if you're in my position where you're just coming in as kind of a consultant, right? What does it look like to provide consistent leadership throughout? If you're a service tech, what does it look like? What does it look like to provide consistent leadership, even when you're not in charge, even when you're not the boss, even when you don't have the title of manager? What does it look like to provide that consistent leadership? There's some titles like fighting your way up, right? So your reflexes show that if you cheated the process, right? When you run into trouble as you're going through stuff, you can't cheat the process in leadership. There's no way around it. If you didn't do the work, guess what? When the rubber meets the road, right? When you run up against a problem, you can't cheat your way out of it. There's no way. You're either going to succeed or you're going to fail. Either way, hopefully you learn from that process, right?
I've never heard John Maxwell speak, but I'm going to just assume he's a smart guy and he's a strong leader because he wrote a book on it. But
a lot of books.
I know from all kinds of leaders that are very successful, most of the time they'll claim, and he says it really well in the book, if he had one superpower, or one wish, he would love to be able to go back in time to show people who are under him now, this is the kind of leader I was back then, so that they know that he's not just coasting on talent here, that this has been a consistent road of learning and growing and stretching day after day after day. And it seems overwhelming. What was his example? Watching water, change temperature to freeze, and literally 1 degree at a time. And you just start to doubt it. You just start to question it. And then all of a sudden it starts to crystallize at 32. And then you're inspired at that moment. But it is a journey. There's just no way it's going to happen overnight. So I kind of love that part, to be honest with you. I don't love failing, but I love when something doesn't work out. I mean, I can see a distraught customer, employee, they're frustrated or angry, and I can't wait to fix that moment so that I can then just put the phone down and go, all right, what happened there? What happened? X's and O's. What do we got to do differently?
It gives you a chance to take the things that you've put into practice.
Yeah.
Actually work them out, right?
Yes. Yep.
Like I've chatted with health clients. They're like, well, like you're out there running miles. I don't want to, I don't want to run a half marathon. You think I just went out there and ran a half marathon? No. It was a process, right? We're 4 years into my personal health journey. 3 years into running, right? Like this is not I didn't just wake up and go, yep, I'm gonna go run a half marathon, see you guys, right? Like there was a process in breaking into that, and it's no different in leadership. It's no different in any skills that we do. There is a process, and the more you're consistent in the process, the more you're consistent, just like being a technician. Those of you guys that are out there that are amazing technicians, leadership's no different.
Yeah.
You learn the skill to be a technician day by day by day by day by day, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, not making the mistake the next time, making a different mistake, and learning from that mistake. And that begins to compound. Leadership's no different. Leading a company, being a manager, being a service manager, being an office manager, it's no different. You're compounding these mistakes, learning from them, and being able to pivot in a new direction. And you begin to get to a point where you can read what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Like Doug can read a situation now. I'm sure there are situations that you see and go, hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and do it this way, because if we head down the road that we're about to head down, it's not going to end well. So we're going to go ahead and go this direction, because you begin to almost like, I don't know, you see it coming and you can steer the boat a different direction.
Yeah.
Just because you've made the mistakes before. Yeah.
It becomes instinct, but human instinct continues to be that you keep it to yourself, that you want to just be the captain of all the things, and you don't. So you kind of got to sit back and watch your leadership below you. You got to watch them grow and stretch as well. You have to empower them there, as we talked about earlier. So
yeah, always continue to empower those behind. And if you're not in charge as a leader, lead up, right? So that goes back to what I was talking about in working with my buddy Matt. I didn't just attack him. I said, hey, so I hear you saying this is an issue. What if we try this? I lead up, right? I ask the questions and I help him find the solution. Not go to him and go, listen, dude, you suck. Right? Like, because no one's going to respond to that. And so if you
don't even have to say you suck. You could skip that part and go, hey, listen, if we do it this way and this way and this way, it's going to go quicker. And he might go, yeah. Now, you know what he might think? Man, I suck. Why is this guy Zach figuring it out? And I've been doing this you could totally.
And then you hit that wall of pride.
Yes. So what a graceful way of doing it. And I think if you've got technicians working for you, I've done it before, but I just wasn't as conscious as you just said it. We should, as leaders, always be asking the questions when they're calling for help. Well, what have you done so far? All right. And what do you think could be the thing? I don't know. That's why I'm calling you. All right. Well, and just keep asking the questions. That's going to make them grow instead of giving them the answer. We have that problem with some guys at our company. They're looking for the silver bullet answer. Maybe if we subconsciously just pass those questions back to them, they will be empowered to figure it out themselves moving forward.
Well, and you're going to model that too, right? So that's leading down. Now leading up is you asking those same questions to Jay in a way that he's going to respond to. Hey, what do you think's working well, Jay? What do you think's not working well, right? So as you begin to, you see that leadership in the middle, leadership when you're not in charge, you're actually more of a leader than those at the top, because you're always in the middle of it, you have to lead up and lead down at all times. And then the light bulb goes off. You realize even when you're at the top, you're leading up and down.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 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 I just had a one-to-one last week with an accountant in my BNI group. So she this first time having one. She shared her business and what she does, and I asked a ton of questions so I know who she is, and and then I shared a little bit about action, and she's really good at this. So she kind of, when I was done, it was like less than 10 minutes. She goes, so it sounds like you're really great at this and that your company is thriving here and that you're struggling there. And it sounds like that maybe that's where I'm like, how did she figure this out in less than 10 minutes? And she was able to give me 2 great ideas. Like, I hung up that phone, pumped the heck up, because I was like, did not see that both those suggestions as it would have never come into my brain unless I took a right-hand turn and went and sought mentorship from someone that I didn't even know I was going to be mentored by. So iron sharpens iron everywhere and anywhere at any time. You just got to stay humble and listen, right?
Humility is huge, man. And that's why I titled this episode the way that I titled it. You're just not that important.
It's true.
You're just not. Like, it's literally something that I have to say to myself day in and day out. You're just not that important, dude. Yeah. Like, because that's what helps to keep me humble. It's what keeps it from being like a false humility. It just reminds me, like, I got to put others first. Others are more important than I am. So, like, it is a good reminder day in and day out for me. You're just not that important, dude. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a little bit shocking of a title, but it's on purpose. It's a good reminder for all of us.
Agreed.
To put others before ourselves, and how do we lead in that?
So I love what you brought it around to appliance repair, which makes sense, right? You're giving that analogy of talking to your techs when we're really trying to talk about us as leaders, right? And how it would benefit us by empowering, right? I'm sorry, the journey of consistency. You're not going to be a great tech overnight. Mm-hmm. So what a great analogy, what a great image of lighten up, dude. I know you own this small business. I know you've got 3 employees or 4 employees, and you're just killing yourself and you're starting to think, I can't do this. You can, because you did. You're a 20-year, 10-year, 30-year appliance vet, and it didn't come overnight. So that's so discouraging, by the way, because if I was going to join your health program, Zach, I'm hoping that I will be fit and energized in 2 weeks. What I mean? It
doesn't happen, right? Like, it doesn't happen. It's a journey. It's a journey.
What does? And if something did do that, as humans, we have now learned to be skeptical of the magic pill. So if we haven't had that mindset, thank you for the analogy, as leaders, that we need to, we're gonna look back and be grateful for the journey that we're on. What are some tangible tips as business leaders that we can, like, how with exercise, you're probably tracking your movement and your calories and your intake. Like, what do you think are some things as a leader of a business, like goals, or what's your way of tracking and keeping moving forward? What would you think some of those things could be?
So I think that I do think that the biggest thing is to write down your goals. I say it all the time. Like, if you don't write it down, it doesn't freaking matter, right? The other thing that I'm going through, I'm actually, so you know me, like, I'm ADD. So I'm, I got the book club book. I'm listening to How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. And I'm in the middle of going through a business course from Donald Miller. And so, do you have a personal mission statement, Doug?
A personal, like Doug, personal mission statement? No.
I don't either. So, I
might have thoughts on it, but no, I think you're talking about very intentional. Like,
yeah.
What do you think on for yourself? Right. Yeah, that's great.
And action is your mission statement from action, but is it simple? Is it memorable? Would your customers be able to repeat it?
No, it's not. No. But we have a goal.
Right.
We have a goal that's very simple, but the mission, you're right, totally not.
So that's what Donald Miller is talking about in this course. And so why is that important? Because your mission and your purpose guide everything else that you do.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to find the specific, the measurable, the time oriented, right? The SMART goals, right? That's where you're going to find that stuff is in making sure that you have a clear mission and a clear purpose. And so that's something that I'm working on for myself. I don't have a clear mission for, in honesty, Gordon's did not have a clear mission. It was not clear. It was not repeatable. My team couldn't do it. Yeah. My team couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And our customers for sure couldn't figure it out, right? I didn't have a personal mission statement. I guarantee you, if you ask Dean, he's got a personal mission statement. I'm almost 100% certain that he does, right? And so that is one of the first things that I will say is make sure that your mission and your purpose are very clear.
Yeah.
Right? Gratitude journal. I start every day or finish every day, depending. Because sometimes, it's just easier to do it at the end of the day because then you've had a chance to kind of reflect. I've actually started kind of pivoting to that. What does it look like being thankful? So I'll start with one or two things in the morning. Hey, I'm thankful for this. And then at the end of the day, I finish with the other three things that I'm thankful for. But then write down your goals, right? So have your 10-year, your 5-year, your 1 year. We talked about designing success backwards. Who do I want to be? So I have another journal going. Who is future Zach? What does future Zach do? And how do I partner with that, right? So let's pull out a couple lines from that, and this will kind of give an example of what I'm talking about. So, flexible but confident, a true leader, generous and charitable. So that's future Zach. Well, how does Zach in the now embody these things? Because these things I can do right now. I may not be there right now, or not where I want to be in that, but how do I begin to partner with that future self, right? So you can see where that comes in. As you begin to write these things, then you can begin to track. How am I making progress in that, right? Write it down. Write it down.
You have to, because we are busy human beings with work and family and home life and sleep and food. So yeah, you're totally right, man. And of course, I love talking with other people, especially if they're smarter than me, right? Because I would have thought it's a simple solution. First step is you got to set some goals. Now, I've been in a mastermind group almost a year or so. I still don't know exactly what type of goals I should be putting in that group to be held. So I'm still working out effective goals because, I make 100 decisions a day, right? I'm not going to put things in there that I know I'm going to do. How do I want to be held? So it's actually, for me, maybe others, not that easy. But it's not that easy. And I could see it could get easier because you've been holding out on me, Zach. I've been doing this with you for a long time. You forgot to tell me to have a personal vision statement for myself.
Can I tell you a secret?
Is this going to hurt my feelings?
No, it's actually going to make you feel better. I signed up for that course about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I just started processing through it, and I went, holy crap, that's the thing that's missing.
Yeah, because
we all think about a company mission statement, but none of us think about a personal mission statement. How can you set goals if you don't know where you're going?
Well, you can. It's just not going to be like riding a hot rod. It's not going to be a smooth. Right. It's going to be a rocky, and you might figure it out. So you've empowered me today. It's going to take me months to figure this thing out. So it's going to, I probably won't be on Tuesday. I'm going to have to take naps to get to this where you have to see, you're asking me to not do, you're asking me to figure out who I am. And that is overwhelming for me, right? You put me in a position and I know where I can figure out what to do. To ask me with a blank canvas, Future Doug, that's another one. I would probably have to be put in an asylum for at least 6 months if, but like personal vision, mission statement, like what is Doug? That's gonna take me a bit. So
how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Like it's just.
What's your daughter's first name again?
Belle.
Belle. Thanks, Belle. Yeah, thanks for the joke. Yeah.
No, but really, it is. It's you take things one small chunk at a time, and then you continue to process because otherwise it is overwhelming. Listen, a guy that struggles with ADD and tries to flip ADD to a superpower, like you do have to write things down. And I don't care if you struggle with ADD or not. Like you still need to write things down because you will forget. You literally will just not process through it if it's not in front of your face all the time. And so continue to process through what does this look like day in, day out. It's that consistency. It's putting it in front of your face on a daily basis. That's how you can then begin to track it as well as realize like what's working, what's not working, right? And make those pivots sooner than later. It's how you become proactive versus reactive, So I'm not perfect at it. Like that's the reality. Like Doug's teasing me about this, but I'm not. Like I'm on a journey just like you guys. I'm learning just like you guys. I might be a little bit further down the road, but I ain't that much further down the road, right? Like I'm learning day in and day out what works and what doesn't. So
major strands of my DNA are all sarcasm strands, and so if you haven't figured if you haven't figured that out, so here's the deal. I know that I'm weak in that area, and I joke, and only once in a great while do I actually let it bother me. I should probably let it bother me more. Maybe it'll motivate me, or maybe I'll just take a more positive turn, like you just said. Set a vision for myself, right? And that will probably be incorporated in that aspect that I need to stretch and grow in. But sarcasm aside, sitting in a book group with you and some amazing people, and I don't want to start mentioning them and their attributes because I don't want to leave any one of them out.
Some much more amazing people in there than
they are.
Myself, that is for sure.
and then I have my team at work, which I'm so blessed to be a part of, and they have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. In my BNI group, in my Christian small group, in my church family with my wife, we all are going to be good at one thing and not so good at another. And there's not one better human being over another. If you can stay humble, as you've said over and over in this session, it won't beat you up. And just keep rubbing shoulders with these smart people. And I just don't want to mention some of their names right now, but I won't because
before we wrap, let's use this as an example, right? Like I am not the greatest people person. They joke about me being like Sheldon. I am very kind of like, I don't like people. And you're very much a people person. Like you just have this love and this patience for people. And so the two of us together really kind of balance each other out in that process. I'm a total freaking nerd. Like just total like figure it out and like tweak it out, and that's why I'm doing 8 books at the same time. Right? And so I kind of balance you out in that. I kind of encourage you in that. And that's one of the things that I realized is that I can kind of encourage in that way. So it's
we coast. We coast in some areas of our lives because they're natural abilities. But that doesn't mean that we want to live our lives around just those things. And so
it's teamwork. It's literally teamwork. Even when you're not on an official team together, it's doing life together as a team. It's awesome. I love it.
Yep. All right. So I will keep everyone updated. If I come through with a vision statement, I'll let you know what it is because
I don't have mine yet. So I'm still processing through it. When I have it, I'll share it.
All right. And I'll have to figure out if I should say mine first or second. if you append me with a much better – no, I'm just kidding. Sarcasm. All right.
All right, guys. We will catch you later. It has been fun, Doug. I always enjoy conversations with you, brother.
Thanks.
Have a good day, guys and gals.